Hi, my name's DeBorre and welcome to DeBorre Yoga. We're going to be practicing a slow Vinyasa yoga flow today, and we're going to really focus on opening, so opening the body. A lot of us spend time sitting down and maybe even working at a desk or computer, and we tend to fall into this habit of sort of like hunching our body over. So I want to really work to expand and open and take us in the other direction. I also want to work into just a little bit of grounding, so we'll be working that into today's practice as well. Jess and I should have introduced her, are coming to you from the surrounds of Mount Camel. So Mount Camel is a locality just outside of Heathcote in regional Victoria, and Jess and I are on 37 acres out here. We're around a lot of different farms and we've got our own little mini farm happening out here. My husband and I are in the process of building a 2 shipping container house, so a small little house on our 37 acres, and while we're doing that we are living in a shed. So we've kind of decked it out to be like a house, but really it's still a shed. It's been an interesting 6 months so far. We've got probably another at least 6 months ahead of us, and I am really excited to be living out here and being regional, especially after having spent most of my life living in the city. So one of the things that I find that really grounds me is getting out to nature, and if you've got the ability to be outdoors or even to go to a park or be in your backyard and be outside and actually touch the earth and see nature around you, I feel that has a really grounding effect on me, and maybe it will on you as well. If not, hopefully just practicing along with me today and hearing the sounds of our farm and the Australian bush is going to help do that for you as well. There are a couple of playlist options below in the comments, so by all means select one of those to press play on and enjoy your slow yoga flow with today. So we're going to start today in a supported bridge, and at home you should have a book or a pillow handy. If you do have a yoga brick, what we're going to do is we're going to aim to place this, we're going to lay on our back and we're going to place this just underneath our sacrum. So our sacrum is that flat bit just at the back here, so pretty much above, well, I guess where your butt crack is really. It's just above your butt crack, and it's the bottom of your tailbone. There's this flat bit here. So we want to make sure that that block is right on there. We don't want it up too high or too low, because that's not going to be good for our body, and we don't want it on too high a setting because it's early days. So maybe using a pillow or a book if you've got a book that's similar at home, and just placing that on your sacrum and soles of the feet to mat as you come to lay down. You can extend your legs long in front of you, but that will intensify that stretch. And if it doesn't feel good, as per usual, you can just take any sort of leg extended pose today. Anything that feels good. You can take Shavasana, you can take Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm just going to get my hair out of the way so that we can get this show on the road, get practicing some yoga. What do you think, Jess? Are you just going to take your doggy Shavasana over there and lay down? Okay, hair is out of the way. If you haven't already laid down, then coming down to the mat. So what I'm saying is soles of the feet to the mat, relaxing back and taking your yoga brick and just placing it underneath the sacrum. So you can see what I've done here with my brick now. You can use a pillow, you can, roll up a towel, you can use a blanket or a book, anything that's just going to prop up those hips a little bit. And if that doesn't feel right, then please just take that brick out. If it does feel good and you feel like you'd like to work into that opening a little bit more, then think about extending the legs long on the mat in front of you. And then closing down the eyes when you're ready. Hands can be either side of you, maybe turning the palms up, because we're looking to really open and expand today. And just allowing yourself to really sort of melt over that brick. It might be nice to just do a little scan of the body, just to see where you're holding tension. And it's probably different for everybody, but for me, I find that I generally clench my jaw sometimes, so relax that jaw. Relax the tongue and the shoulders. Letting go of any tension through the hips so that you're just really draped over that pillow, block, book, whatever it might be. And if your legs are extended, letting your feet just drop out to the sides. And bringing your attention now to all of the points where your body is connecting with the mat. So feeling those areas and really experiencing the sensation of what it feels like for your body to touch the earth beneath you. We'll all take a few cleansing breaths, so when you're ready, taking a deep breath in through the nose, filling up all the way down to the pit of the belly, and opening the mouth, sighing it out. Once again, in through the nose, and out through the mouth. In through the nose and out through the mouth. And just returning back to a breath in and out of the nose. And working towards an even inhalation to exhalation. So just in your own head, breathing in for a count of 3 or 4, maybe 5, and exhaling for the same count. Just taking a few rounds in your own time. And releasing that counted breath pattern. If your legs are extended, then please bring the soles of the feet back to the mat. And we're just going to lift up and take that block, brick, pillow, blanket, whatever it is underneath your sacrum. Let's remove that, place it off to the side and lower your body back down to the ground. And we'll just stay here for a few moments, maybe keeping your hands on your hip points and just feeling that lower body now pressing into the earth. We'll bring the knees in towards the chest, taking clasp of the shins, and we'll just stay here for a moment. You might like to blink open the eyes and taking a breath in. On the exhale, let's hug those knees into our chest. Inhale, slight release. And exhale, hugging the knees into the chest. One more, inhale, slight release. And exhale, hugging those knees into the chest. Slight release. We're going to keep our hands on each shin. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our hands to move our legs. So we're going to actually maybe take the hands to the kneecaps, which might be easier. And it's like we're going to draw circles in the air with our kneecaps. So we're taking our legs out, so we butterfly them out and we bring them back in. So it's like this circular motion through the ball and socket joint of the hip. And so these circular motions are really good for opening up through these joints. And I know it might feel a little bit awkward or weird to be doing this, but trust me, it's going to be so good for your body and for opening up. And at the same time, you should be able to feel those shoulder blades getting a nice little sort of massage underneath us on the mat. And let's stop and just take that in the opposite direction now. So depending on which way you went, just changing over, bringing the knees out, around, back in. And coming into stillness. Let's take the soles of the feet now to the mat. We're going to extend the right leg long up in front of us towards the ceiling, flexing the toes towards the shin, taking clasp with the back of the thigh or the back of the calf. And just feeling that nice stretch all the way through the back of the leg. You can have as generous a bend as you need in that right leg, just so long as you're feeling that opening through the back. Head and shoulders are still on the mat. And now taking that right ankle to cross over the left knee, we're going to, look, actually you could just stay here. If this feels good for your body, then you can keep your figure 4 position here. It should be opening up through the back of the hips, but if you'd like to take it a bit deeper, you can reach between that little gap and on the other side of the leg and take clasp with the back of the knee and recline. And if that's not enough and you'd like to intensify, then interlace the fingers on the front of that left shin. But bringing the head back down to the mat. Flexing the right toes to the shin. And maybe we should multitask today. So let's take some ankle rolls through that left ankle if it feels good. And swapping if you're doing those ankle rolls and taking it in the opposite direction. And just coming into stillness, let's give that left knee one more hug back in. And keeping hold of the left knee, let's see if we can just extend the right leg back down to the mat. And we're going to hug that left knee into the chest. Let's take it out to the left and then hug it in a bit tighter in towards that left armpit. Right hand stays on that left knee. Left arm extends straight to the mat, and we're coming into our supine twist. So let's draw that left knee all the way over to the right side. And we're keeping that left shoulder plugging into the mat. Feeling that nice opening twist through the left side body. You might like to take your gaze over the left shoulder if that feels good on your neck. And coming back to center, releasing that leg, taking both soles of the feet to the mat. Maybe just realigning those hips. And we're going to now extend the left leg all the way up, flexing the left toes towards the shin and taking clasp of the back of the thigh or the back of the calf, whatever feels good for your body. And now bending through that left knee, we're going to take the left ankle to the top of the right knee and maybe staying here in your reclined figure four, or taking it a little bit deeper by clasping the back of the right knee or the front of the right shin, but bringing the head and shoulders back down to the mat. Flexing the left toes. And if you took those ankle rolls on the other side, maybe taking them on this side now. So right ankle comes through a few circles in one direction. And then taking those ankle rolls in the opposite direction. And coming back to stillness, maybe hugging that right knee in just a little bit tighter for a moment. Before we extend the left leg now all the way down to the mat, keeping hold of the right knee. Breath in and exhale, drawing that knee into the chest. Let's now take that right knee just out to the right a little. And then we're going to hug that right knee back in towards the right armpit. So you should be feeling that opening up a little bit differently now through the front of the left hip. Keeping hold of the right knee with our left hand. Our right arm extends all the way to the ground, and we're going to come into our supine twist. So drawing that knee all the way across the body over to the left side. Right shoulder is staying, plugging down into the mat. You might like to close down the eyes if they're not already. And maybe taking the gaze over the right shoulder if that feels good on your neck. And coming back through center. Let's take the soles of the feet back down to the mat. And we're just going to take our legs up into the air, 90 degrees from the body, flexing the toes towards the shins, drawing the lower belly in and up. And just holding our legs here. There's a gentle lift of the tailbone off of the mat, so you should feel that lower belly engage. And now crossing over at the ankles, let's take clasp with the back of the thighs, and we're just going to roll along the spine till we come up and over into our tabletop position. So in our tabletop, wrists are directly below our shoulders and knees are in line with hips. Toes are untucked. We'll come through a few rounds of cat-cow. So breath in, belly dips, gaze comes up. And exhale to tuck everything under. Again, inhale to dip the belly. And exhale to tuck everything under. Inhale, dips the belly. And exhale to tuck everything under. Coming into neutral, we're going to come through some sort of side cat-cow. So what I want you to do is to start looking over that left shoulder. You're taking your gaze down towards the left hip, and you really want to accentuate swaying that left hip out to the side and looking over that left shoulder so that you get that nice stretch through the right side body. And let's take it over to the other side. Looking over the right shoulder, right hip pushes out so that we feel that nice opening all the way through the left side body. Coming back through center, let's do that once more on either side. Looking over the left shoulder. Inhale back through center. And exhale, looking over the left, right should I say. Getting my lefts and rights muddled up. Inhale back through center. Let's tuck those toes now, and we're going to slowly hover the knees just off of the mat. So drawing the lower belly in and up, we'll hover the knees off of the mat for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and touch down. Inhale, dip the belly, gaze comes up. And exhale, tucking everything back under. Coming back through neutral, let's tuck those toes if they're not already, and we're going to hover those knees once again for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This time pushing up to down dog. Maybe adjusting your stance. I know that I need a longer stance in my down dog. And taking any movement that feels good to you, so pedaling through the legs perhaps, swaying the hips. Fingers spread nice and wide, and they're all gripping down into the mat. Settling into stillness when you're ready. Let's slowly walk our hands to the back of the mat. Here in our forward fold, I want you to make 2 little fists with your hands while we're hanging out down here. And if you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to bring the thumb edge together to touch. So we've got these 2 little fists together. And now I want you to place those 2 fists between where the balls of your feet are. And your feet should be touching those fists. And why I'm getting you to do this is giving you a bit of an idea of where our feet should be in down dog. So this is roughly hip distance apart. Releasing the hands now. Let's inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, flat back. And exhale, taking a generous bend in the knees, folding. Let's do that again. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins, flat back. And exhale to fold. Let's ripple up 1 vertebrae at a time to standing. And when we get there, arms reach up and overhead, hands through heart center, and by your side, Utkatasana. Maybe shutting down those eyes. And lifting all of your toes off of the mat to spread them nice and wide, and then plugging them back down into the mat. Feeling strong through those feet. The glutes are slightly engaged, the belly draws in, legs are strong. We're strong in our Utkatasana. Blinking open the eyes, breath in, arms reach up. And exhale, diving all the way down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Walking ourselves all the way out to our high plank now. There's a gentle tuck of the tailbone, belly draws in. Breathing in and out. Let's all lower our knees to the mat, untuck the toes, and we're going to slowly lower to the mat for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, elbows are brushing the ribs, 1, and touch down. Maybe readjusting so that you're on the mat. And taking those fingertips now back in line more with the lower ribs. Elbows are back, they're tucking in. And let's push the tops of the toenails and the feet into the mat so the knees lift and the glutes are engaged. Breath in, coming up to our baby cobra. And exhale, releasing the head back down. Breath in, baby cobra. And there shouldn't be any weight in those hands. Exhale to release. Breath in, baby cobra. Hovering the hands just off of the mat. Holding for another breath. And exhale, releasing down to the mat. Let's tuck back to our child's pose. Knees come wide, big toes to touch. And now tucking our toes, coming back to our downward facing dog. On the breath in, we're going to rise to our tippy toes and exhale to sink the heels. Making sure that those feet are hip distance apart. Breath in, tippy toes, and exhale to sink the heels. Let's do 3 more. And exhale to sink the heels. Breath in, tippy toes. Exhale to sink. Inhale, tippy toes. And exhale to sink. Let's slowly take a stroll all the way to the top of our mat. There's absolutely no rush to get there. And when we get there, we're going to inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, arms reach all the way up overhead. And on the exhale, we're going to cactus the arms. So engage the glutes and cactus the arms. Let's do that again. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Engage those glutes and exhale, cactus. Once more, inhale, arms reach up. And exhale, cactusing those arms open. Maybe taking just a really gentle bend to look up. Inhale, arms back overhead. And exhale to fold all the way down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, stepping back 1 foot at a time to our high plank. Knees on or off the mat, we lower chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, back to down dog. Taking that slow stroll back to the top of the mat, 1 foot at a time. And when we get here, hands to shins, half lift. And exhale to fold. Coming up to standing in 1 breath this time, arms reach overhead. And we're diving straight down to the mat, hinging at the hips. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, plant the hands to step back to our high plank, hopefully using the other leg this time to step back first. Knees on or off the mat, lower. up dog or baby cobra, and exhale back to down dog. Breath in, right leg lifts, and exhale, taking a bend in that knee, peeling that hip open. Making sure that those shoulders are level, so bringing that right armpit back in alignment with the left. And inhale, right knee comes to the chest, and stepping forward, dropping the back knee, arms raise up for our low lunge, Vinyasa. Left glute is really engaged, belly draws in and up. On the exhale, let's cactus those arms again, maybe taking that gaze up. Inhale, arms reach back up. And again, exhale to cactus. Inhale, arms reach back up. Let's tuck the toes now on the back foot. We're going to straighten through the front leg as our arms sweep back behind us into our Half-Hanuman. So you might need to adjust that right leg forward a little bit. And then we're flexing the right toes towards our shin, really making sure that that little pinky toe is turning in. And if you'd like to maybe take it up a notch and open up a little bit more through those shoulders, let's take an interlace of those hands and really roll those shoulders back. Ooh, I don't know if you heard me creak then, but my right shoulder definitely cracked. And releasing that bind if you've got it. Breath in, let's come back to our low lunge. And hands come back down to the mat now. We're going to step back to our three-legged dog, right leg lifts. And once again, let's peel open that hip, bending at the knee. On the next exhale, right knee comes in towards the right elbow. And we're going to step that right foot on the outside edge of the right hand. So we're coming into our low lizard, so dropping that back knee. Hands are both on the inside edge of the right foot. And we'll take some movements here, so maybe rocking forward and back just to open up a little bit through that hip. It should be open from all those rolls that we did earlier, but maybe taking a few rolls just to settle in, whatever feels good. And then coming into stillness here. If you know that you've got the space, you might like to drop down to your forearms, but only if that doesn't compromise the knee. I want you to keep that right knee plugging in towards the arm. If you've got your block or your book handy, you can actually lean on that too for support. And tucking the back toes now. If you're not already on your hands or your fingertips, then come back to those. We're going to tuck the back toes coming into our high lizard just for a moment as we step our left foot to the top of the mat and we sink down into our yogi squat, Malasana. Now in Malasana, I want you to think about using those elbows to push the knees out. Don't worry if your heels aren't touching, you can have your heels lifted. And if this is a little bit difficult for you and you do have a block or a book, you can actually use that to sit on here. So that can give you a little bit of extra support. Maybe only if your book is thick enough, I guess, or it's a hard cover, it might be a bit hard to sit on it in this direction. But alternatively, you don't need that at all. And we're working to pull our chest through those legs. So chest is proud, lower belly draws in, and engaging Mula Bandha, so pelvic floor lifts up. And one more breath here. And exhale, folding forward. Let's heel toe those feet back in underneath the hips. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale to fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing arms, reach up and overhead. And exhale, cactus the arms open, taking that gentle back bend. Inhale, arms reach overhead, and hinge at the hips to dive all the way back down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, planting the hands, stepping back to our high plank. Knees on or off the mat, or lower chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, and exhale back to down dog. Breath in, left leg lifts, and exhale to peel open that hip, bending at the knee, taking the heel towards the butt. Taking a few breaths here, feeling that nice opening through the back of the right leg, into the left hip. Taking an inhale breath, and on the exhale, left knee comes to the chest, and we step that left foot between our hands, dropping the back knee. Arms lift up, Anjaneyasana. Right glute is engaged, belly draws in for stability. And on your next exhale, let's cactus the arms again. Gaze comes up just a little. Inhale, arms reach back overhead. And exhale to cactus. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And this time we're going to tuck those back toes for support as we straighten through the front leg, coming into our Half-Hanuman. So maybe again shifting that left leg a little forward, palms are facing down, left toes are flexed. Feeling that nice opening through the back of the left leg. If you feel like you'd like to take that bind of the hands again behind your back, maybe taking the opposite grip, so opposite thumb on top, and then rolling those shoulders back, pulling that fist back. Releasing the clasp of the hands if you have it. And on the inhale, let's bend back through that left knee, coming back to our low lunge Anjaneyasana. Hands come to frame the front foot as we step back to our three-legged dog, left leg lifts. Peel open that hip immediately, bending at the knee. And on the next exhale, left knee comes to the left elbow, and we're going to step that left foot outside the left hand. So setting up for our low lizard, dropping the back knee, untucking the toes, maybe taking some gentle movements here, whatever feels good for your body. Maybe it's just stillness. And maybe coming down to your forearms if that's available. What I mentioned earlier about the book or the brick, if you've got it, and you feel like you can come down a little bit, then you can use something like this for support here. But we're really focusing on keeping that left knee coming in towards our left shoulder. So we're not letting it come out to the side like this. And removing that block or book if you've got it. We're going to tuck the back toes, and then we're going to step to our Malasana at the top of the mat. Hands are at prayer. And we're using those arms or the triceps to push the knees out. Lower belly draws in. Mula Bandha is on. And on your next exhale, folding forward. Heel toeing those feet back in. And breath in, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. Arms reach up overhead and down through Heart Center Anjali Mudra. We're going to pick a point in front of you that is not moving, so we want our laser focus. And we're going to come off of the toes, so lifting those toes up like we did in Tadasana earlier, and let's plug them all back down into the mat. We're really strong through those legs. And now shift the weight into the right leg as we bring the left knee into the chest. Flexing the left toes on towards the shin. That might help with a bit of extra stability. And engaging our right glute. Keeping that focus. And maybe, if you'd like to test that balance, let's think about raising our hands up overhead. And exhale, cactusing the arms open. Inhale, arms reach back up overhead. And now we're slowly, with control, we're going to step that left foot back behind us. So we're coming into our high crescent lunge. So as slowly as you can do it, maybe readjusting that stance depending on where that foot landed. And engaging that left glute, gentle bend in the back knee. On the next exhale, we're going to cactus those arms again, taking that gentle back bend. And inhale, arms reach back up overhead. Let's do that again. Exhale, cactus. And inhale, arms back up. Once more, exhale to cactus. I can really feel that through my left hip flexor. And inhale, arms reach up overhead. We're going to slowly turn to our left and pivot that back foot so that we come into our high goddess pose. So heels are both turning in and toes are facing out here. You might like to shorten your stance if it is too wide. And I want you to think about we're taking those legs out. So the knees are coming out. They're not caving in. Glutes are engaged. Arms can be extended in your cactus position or even hands at heart center. Belly draws in and up. And maybe let's take a little wiggle from side to side. I know we've done a lot of like hip rolls, but all of these movements are really good at opening up through these tight areas. And settling into stillness now. Breath in, arms reach up, let's straighten through the legs. And we're going to now take our toes in to be pigeon toed, and exhale, we're going to hinge at the hips to fold forward into our wide-legged forward fold. Maybe readjusting your stance if you'd like your legs a little bit further or closer. We're going to inhale, halfway lift, coming to our fingertips, and exhale to fold. Taking those fingers now in line with the big toes, allowing the head to hang heavy. One more breath here. And let's inhale, halfway lift, coming to the fingertips. And let's take our hands to our hips, bending the knees. Let's use the strength of the core to come up to standing. That was good. Let's take our arms out to a T. And now we're just going to bring that right heel in. And we're going to come into our warrior two. So we've pivoted on that right foot to take the toes facing forward, and we're bending through that front knee. Left leg is strong. Gaze is down the middle finger. On your next breath in, reach that right arm forward for length, flip the palm, and exhale to exalt our warrior. Inhale back to warrior two. And straightening through that front leg, we're going to reach forward for length and exhale, coming down to Trikonasana Triangle. And using the back of the right hand to lever ourselves open. If you do have that block or brick handy, you can use that for support here as well. And I don't want you to lock out that front knee, so either taking a really micro bend in the front knee or engaging that kneecap by drawing it up, so engaging the quad just to protect that knee. Gaze can be up at the ceiling or down at the mat. And if you've got that brick, just taking that off to the side. We're going to use the strength of our core to lift up and come into our reverse triangle. Right arm reaches overhead. And exhale back to warrior two. Let's take our hands to our hips, and we're going to try to step up to the top of the mat in one step. So let's take that left foot up to the top, standing at the top of our mat. Hands come to heart center. And for the purpose of this, I'm actually just going to face you so that you know what we're doing. We're coming into tree pose. So what I want, there's three options for you here. And what I want you to focus on not doing is not placing your foot on your knee. So tree pose, our full tree pose, and maybe just have a watch for a moment, is having your foot up here. But there are other options that are totally fine. So option one is just bringing the toes to the mat and the heel can rest here. So this could be option one, and this is a perfectly good sturdy tree. Option two is to bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the right shin. So left foot to the inside of the right shin. Or option three is to take it a little bit further, and that is to bring it up into the inner thigh or just above that knee. Now, if you're coming up to this position here, then you're really thinking about pushing that left foot into the right leg and right leg into the left foot to have that lock. Taking your selection and bringing that left foot now to the inside of the left leg, the left shin, or on the floor, hands at heart center. And to help with your stability here, remembering that we're focusing on a point in front of us that isn't moving. Don't worry about swaying or falling out. Drawing that lower belly in and up for support, and that right glute is engaged here. If you feel comfortable, then let's think about growing our branches. So hands are going to come overhead. And from here, we cactus the arms. You might like to take a mudra, so thumb to index finger. And if you'd like to test your balance even more, you can think about maybe swaying your branches. Ooh. And all of this movement, when we're balancing and about to fall out and catch ourselves, is really our body getting stronger. So we're working on building that core strength. So it's actually really good to fall out and come back in. And holding tree for just another breath. And exhale with control, releasing that leg back down to the mat. Hands can come to heart center and closing the eyes down just for a moment in standing meditation. Blinking open those eyes. Breath in, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, folding all the way down to the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, let's step back to our high plank. Lower chaturanga. Inhale to up dog or baby cobra. And back to down dog. Breathing in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, out, 2, 3. Breath in, bend your knees, exhale, pull up through the belly and step or lightly hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, coming back all the way up to standing, arms reach up and overhead, and hands come back to our heart center, Anjali Mudra. On the inhale, we're going to bring that right knee into the chest, flexing those right toes. Left glute is engaged and the lower belly is drawing in. And if you feel comfortable here, we're going to take those arms up and overhead, remembering we're focusing on one position in front of us, and then we're going to cactus those arms open. Really plugging down through that left foot. Inhale, arms come back overhead. And then we're going to slowly, with control, step back to our high crescent lunge. So that right foot steps back as slow as we can. And the toes land, maybe adjusting your stance. Right glute is engaged. And on your next exhale, let's cactus those arms, taking that gentle back bend. Inhale, arms back overhead. And exhale once more to cactus. Inhale, arms back up. And last time, exhale, cactus. Inhale, arms come back overhead. And we're going to take those arms out as we pivot around on the ball of that right foot to face the right side into our goddess pose. So remembering heels are in, toes are pointing out. Hands can be on hips, at heart center, extended on either side, or cactus. I'm going to take mine to heart center. Hi, Jess. What are you looking at over here? Maybe taking that little wiggle through the hips, or just settling into stillness. And really working to push those right kneecaps sort of out so we're not caving in. Glutes are firing on. I can certainly really feel it in my little butt cheeks today. One more breath here. And exhale, let's straighten those legs. We're going to take the toes in to be pigeon toed now. So bringing those toes in, heels go out. And it's just a gentle pigeon toe to protect our knees. Let's breathe in, arms reach up overhead, and let's hinge at the hips to fold all the way down to the mat. Once we get there, inhale, flat back, halfway lift, and exhale to fold deeper.
Now here you might like to keep those hands underneath your face for support, or if you'd like to take it a little bit deeper this time, you can take clasp of the back of the ankles or heels, or even pistol grip the toes. If you're taking grip of the ankles or the toes, then really working to draw those elbows out as you draw yourself into the fold. One more breath here. And releasing any clasp that you might have of the toes or the heels. Let's inhale, halfway lift, coming to our fingertips. And hands to hips, gentle bend in the knees, using the power of the core to come up to standing. Jess, can you see those alpacas back there? We're going to set up for our warrior two now. Arms extend to T, and then we're just going to simply pivot that front foot to face the front. So you might need to heel toe that left foot a little bit out so that you've got roughly heel to heel alignment. Bending through that front knee, back leg is straight and strong, gaze is down the middle finger. Standing here in our warrior two for a few breaths. And making sure that you can see that big left toe, so we're not caving in with the left knee. Let's inhale, reach that left arm forward for length, flip the palm and exalt our warrior. Inhale back to warrior two, straightening the front leg, getting ready for a Trikonasana Triangle. Breath in, reach forward for length, and exhale, taking that left hand down, right arm reaches up. And using the back of that left hand to lever against the inner left shin to open up. Shoulder blades are drawing together. Gaze can be up or down, whatever feels good on the neck. Using the strength of our core, we're going to come into reverse triangle. So left arm reaches up and overhead, feeling that side body stretch before we settle back into our warrior two. Hands come to hips, and we're simply going to step that right foot to the top of the mat. And getting ready to take our tree pose now on the opposite leg. So I am going to face you so that I'm not facing away. And remembering our options here. So this time we're using our left foot for stability. So really plugging that down into the mat. Those toes grip the mat. And option one was right heel, just the inside above the ankle. The next option was sole of the foot to the inside of the left shin, below the knee joint. And the final option was to bring that foot to the inner thigh, so not touching that left knee. If we've got the sole of the foot up high, then we're really pushing that foot into our leg and leg into the foot to help with that lock. Oh, there goes my leg sliding down, pulling my leggings off. Let's try that again. Sometimes my leggings are a little slippery. And bringing the hands to heart center. Left glute is engaged. And if you feel ready, maybe growing those arms up and overhead. And then forming your tree branches. Maybe taking the mudra lock of the thumb to index finger. And don't worry if you fall out like I am. You just come straight back in. Oh, well, my right leg is not wanting to do that today, so I am going to take my second option. And maybe remembering to throw some sways in of those branches. And remembering that falling out of poses is nothing to be concerned about. It's good to work on our balance. And bringing those hands back to heart center when you're ready, releasing your right foot to the mat and maybe just taking a little gentle wiggle of the legs to get that blood flowing again. Breath in, arms reach up overhead. And exhale, let's fold down to the mat. Let's inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Stepping back to our high plank. Knees on or off the mat, lower, chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. And exhale back to our downward facing dog. Breathing in. And out. Breath in and out. Let's come to the tippy toes and sink the heels back down to the mat. Once more, breath in, tippy toes, and exhale to sink the heels. We're going to take that slow stroll to the top of our mat again. Breath in, halfway lift, and exhale, fold. Leaving the feet at hip distance, let's sit back into our chair pose, Utkatasana. Just for a moment, making sure that tailbone's tucked. And we're going to bring the hands to heart center. As we come up, let's lift the heels off of the mat just for a moment on our tippy toes. Let's slowly lower our butt down to our heels. And then once we're down on our heels, just sitting back onto the mat. That wasn't so hard. I did think about throwing in a boat pose, but I think we've done enough work for today. So let's just take hold of the back of the legs, and we're just going to lower ourselves all the way down to the mat, drawing those knees into the chest for a little cuddle, maybe rocking from side to side. And taking the feet back to the mat, should I say, not underneath us. We're going to set up now for either a rounded bridge or supported bridge. So what we started with, so you've got the option of taking that brick pillow and popping it underneath your sacrum, maybe even at a higher setting than you did last time. And you could just take this as your supported bridge pose right now. And if this feels good for you and you'd like to take it a little bit further, you can extend those legs and you can rest here. But if you'd like a little bit more work, then we're setting up for our normal bridge. So feet are directly underneath our knees. They're in line with our hips. And we should just be able to see the tiniest bit of our ankles on either side when we look. Let's start to peel that tailbone off of the mat. And then one vertebrae at a time, coming up to our bridge. You might like to interlace the hands below our back, and if you've got that interlace, push that fist into the mat and then draw the shoulders underneath, so really opening up even more through that chest. Knees aren't splaying out, they're staying straight. And really engaging those glutes. A few more breaths. And releasing the bind, releasing all the way down to the mat if you're in bridge. If you're in supported bridge, then just staying where you are on your block. And we'll come through one more round of bridge before we finish up. So supported bridges, you just stay put where you are. Enjoy that nice gentle opening. If you'd like to take supported bridge now, then by all means go for it. Otherwise, we're going to lift back up into one more round of bridge. So when you're ready, peeling that tailbone up off the mat, maybe taking that interlace of the hands or fingers, engaging the glutes. If you're confident in your wheel pose, you can take wheel here. But sticking with bridge or supported bridge is totally fine. And releasing the clasp of the hands, let's lower back down to the mat. If you're in supported bridge, then just removing that block and coming to rest on your back in neutral for a few moments, maybe taking the hands to rest on the belly. Let's cross the right leg over the left knee. And we're going to take our arms out to a T. Let's shimmy the hips over to the right, and then we're just going to let the knees fall over to the left in the twist. Keeping those shoulders both plugging into the mat and maybe taking the gaze over the right shoulder. Bringing those knees back up, soles of the feet to the mat, shifting the hips back to center, crossing the left leg over the top of the right knee, taking the hips over to the left before dropping the knees over to the right. Gaze can come over the left shoulder. Feeling that nice stretch opening up that left side body. Legs come back up through center. And let's hug those knees back into the chest. Maybe taking clasp of the ankles, the outer blade edge of the feet in our happy baby. Or alternatively, if either of these aren't available to you, you can just hold the back of the thighs here. And really flex those toes towards the shins. Back is flat, tailbone is pushing towards the mat, so it's like we're straightening our spine out. If you do have hold of the feet or the ankles, you might like to play with straightening one leg at a time, or both legs. For me, this is really difficult on my left leg because I've got an injury on this left leg. So don't be surprised if something feels different from one side to the other. It's kind of like me in tree earlier. And sometimes things can change every day. So something that you could do yesterday, you might not be able to do today. And don't punish yourself for having that experience. Just notice it, accept it, and move on with trying the pose in the way that's going to suit your body for the moment. And releasing the feet down to the mat, taking any last movements that feel good to you before we get ready for our Shavasana. You might like to put on an extra layer or two. And if you prefer to end today's class in the seated meditation, then you can join me. Sometimes when we start our day off with yoga, doing our yoga class in the morning, it can be quite nice to finish in a seated meditation, but Shavasana is a fantastic option. So once you're ready, coming down to the mat if you're in Shavasana, shutting down the eyes, alternatively coming to a comfortable seat, maybe with your block or brick. It could be on knees or cross-legged. And if you're joining me in seated meditation, then closing down those eyes when you're ready. In Shavasana, hands face up, taking up as much space as you can on that mat, so starfishing out. If you're in seated meditation, let's turn those palms to face up. Maybe they're gently in the lap. Gentle tuck of the chin to lengthen the neck. If your mind has wandered, bringing it back to the breath.
If you're in Shavasana, maybe starting to wriggle through the fingers and toes. Some gentle movements through the wrist and ankles before rolling onto your right side and pushing up to join us in a comfortable seat. Hands come to heart center, our Anjali Mudra. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. My name's Sarah DeBorre, and if you enjoyed that slow yoga flow, perhaps think about subscribing to my yoga channel, leaving a comment or some love below, and contacting me. There's an email address on the About page, and maybe suggesting what you'd like to see in our next slow flow. So maybe there's some poses or something that you'd like to learn. I'm more than happy to work in your suggestions and requests. And I'd just like to finish on a reminder that trying is always the best and most important thing here in our yoga practice. Don't give up, and don't worry if you can't do something. Just like I couldn't do tree on the opposite side today. Go for what's within your reach and just be willing to give it a shot. So thank you so much for practicing. Jess is still here. Jess, are you ready to go for a walk? I think she's heard the magic W word, so it's time for me to pack up and take the doggos for a walk. We've got to go get Max, who's back at the shed, and thank you for your time. I'll see you soon.